What is IRS Form 1040, U.S. Individual Income Tax Return? The Internal Revenue Service, IRS Form 1040, is the United States of America's individual income tax return. The IRS Form 1040 enables the taxpayer to calculate their taxable income and the tax on that income so as to either claim a refund or pay income tax due for the relevant tax year. There are presently 4 forms of the 1040 that are available to taxpayers, with the principal form 1040 being the one that the majority of taxpayers will utilize, with Form 1040 SR being used by senior taxpayers 65 years of age and older, Form 1040 NR being used by non-resident aliens, and Form 1040X being for taxpayers who need to make amendments to their tax return after previously filing a Form 1040. The IRS Form 1040 is itself only 2 pages in length. However, depending upon the complexity of the individual taxpayer's income, benefits, and credit situation, the number of supporting schedules can become quite extensive. These schedules and associated supporting documentation that is appended to the 1040 can be quite substantial. Nevertheless, for purposes of this particular video, we are focusing exclusively upon the 2 pages that are the IRS Form 1040. As with most tax forms created by the Internal Revenue Service, IRS Form 1040 commences with a significant identification section. The aspect that naturally requires the most consideration is the designation of one's filing status, with the classifications being married filed separately, single, head of household, married filing jointly, and qualifying surviving spouse, listed from what is typically the highest to lowest taxation according to the IRS. Each of the classifications have specific criteria that should be reviewed and are set out in the IRS published 1040 instructions. As one might expect, with the rise of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, the Internal Revenue Service is intent on tracking and dealing with it under the heading of digital assets. As the IRS sees it, quote, digital assets are any digital representation of value that are recorded on a cryptographically secure digital ledger or any similar technology. For example, digital assets include non-fungible tokens, NFTs, and virtual currencies, such as cryptocurrencies and stable coins. If a particular asset has the characteristics of a digital asset, it will be treated as a digital asset for federal income tax purposes. End quote. The standard deduction section addresses those limited scenarios where the taxpayer might be claimed by another individual as a dependent, or their older age or blindness provides them with special tax treatment. Next, the individual taxpayer needs to look at whether a person qualifies as a taxpayer's dependent, and to find out if their dependent qualifies the taxpayer to take the child tax credit or the credit for other dependents. The IRS provides a very detailed 5-step procedure for making such a determination, together with special rules and definitions in the IRS published 1040 instructions. The income section mandates that the individual taxpayer must report all income, with certain income forms requiring a listing of the full income in that portion which is taxable. This leads to the computation of total income, which is set out at line 9. The taxpayer then deducts their adjustments to income, which were computed on Schedule 1, to arrive at their adjusted gross income at line 11. The taxpayer either deducts a standard deduction or their itemized deductions from Schedule A, together with their qualified business income deduction, if applicable, to arrive at their taxable income, which is set out at line 15. Extensive details are provided in the IRS published 1040 instructions and the Schedule 1 instructions, with the individual taxpayer also benefiting from reviewing the very comprehensive IRS publication 525, Taxable and Non-Taxable Income. One then proceeds to the tax and credit section to determine their taxes at line 16, plus additional taxes from Schedule 2, line 3, less child tax credit or credit for other dependents from Schedule 8812, less non-refundable credits from Schedule 3, line 8, which amount, if negative, is zeroed out, plus any other taxes, including self-employment tax from Schedule 2, line 21, to arrive at the taxpayer's total tax. This leads to the payment section, which determines how much was paid and or credited, such as with the Earned Income Credit, Additional Child Tax Credit, and American Opportunity Credit, against your tax liability, resulting in your total payments. If the taxpayer's total payments exceed their total tax, then the taxpayer is entitled to a refund, and they proceed with completing the refund section to direct the Internal Revenue Service as to how they are to process the taxpayer's refund. If the taxpayer's total taxes exceed their total payments, the taxpayer must remit the difference following the instructions as set out in the Amounts You Owe section. The balance of the IRS Form 1040 involves authorizations, designations, and signature blocks related to third-party designees, paid preparers, the spouse of a joint return, and the taxpayer. There is extensive material made available by the Internal Revenue Service on their website that is designed to assist the taxpayer with the preparation of IRS Form 1040, including instructions, publications, and online tools. There are also many third-party publications and resources available to taxpayers. Finally, there are tax return preparers capable of tackling one's income tax return, with the IRS providing an online directory of federal tax return preparers with credentials and select qualifications on their website at irs.treasury.gov/rpo/rpo.jsf. Thank you.